Good afternoon. I'm Technical Sergeant Casey Buckingham from the 126 Supply Chain Management Squadron. Today we're here at the SCMS for Town Hall with the 126 Air Refueling Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Michael Douglas, the 126 Mission Support Group Superintendent, Chief Master Sergeant Christopher Mertz, and the 126 Chiefs Group President and 126 Supply Chain Squadron Superintendent, Chief Master Sergeant Amanda Stewart. Chief Stewart.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chief Stewart, and our squadron is a classic associate in the Air Force's Total Force Plan. We serve in cooperation with the Active Duty 635th Supply Chain Operations Group, and together we manage DoD-wide global supply chain management activities, which provide aircraft support to approximately 120 bases and 1,581 airframes throughout the Air Force, to include our very own KC-135 Stratotanker. Additionally, the 126 SCMS also contributes the same 126 ARW state and community roles by providing support to civil authorities during state of emergencies, for example, flood duty and the pandemic support, which we recently were a part of. The 126 SCMS recently, during the COVID-19 pandemic, half of our squadron was tasked to support.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start with our first question. Chiefs, how do you define mentorship and how would you apply the mentorship principles, downward, upward, or all around?
Okay, I'll go ahead and take that question. Mentorship, to me, what it is it's a way for people to develop their personal skills, both professionally and personally. So you can choose, various people in your social network that you can decide to use as a mentor. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone from within inside the military. It can be somebody outside the military that you find their skills beneficial to you and that you would like to imitate some of the skills that they have. As far as mentorship for up, down, all around, it's the 360-degree mentorship. Just because somebody is one of your subordinates doesn't mean that they can't mentor you up, because everybody has their own unique skills and talents, and especially in the National Guard, you can have a person who in their civilian job is a CEO of a company, yet they work for somebody else, and they can have a very unique skill set that can mentor you up. Just because you supervise them on the weekends doesn't mean that they don't bring skills to the table that you can use as for yourself. Also, left and right, you're also going to be mentored by your peers, your fellow chiefs, your fellow tech sergeants, your fellow company grade officers, field grade officers. You're constantly should be looking for, pieces of information or little small skills that everybody can share with each other. And naturally, you should feel comfortable with your commanders or your bosses and say, hey, give them some ideas. That's how you're mentoring up as well. And you also take mentorship downward, that's what's traditionally seen as mentorship. You traditionally, it's like, okay, somebody above me is my supervisor, will be my mentor, but it doesn't necessarily have to be true. So bottom line is always be on the lookout for pieces of information or skills that can help benefit you. I don't know how the rest of the people feel about it, but to me that's mentorship.
To me, mentorship is about taking care of your people. We're supposed to build the leaders of tomorrow, so it's our job to understand where our airmen's careers want to go and help them get to where they want to achieve. They might not know what skill set they have or what they can bring to the table, and it's our job to hone in on that and really allow them, challenge them and allow them to flourish.
I would agree too. I think that we can learn a lot from our airmen and each other. So like Chief said, not necessarily an upward mentorship, but it also does go down. And knowing your people is one thing too. If you know your airmen, you know how you can help them, what good qualities you have that can help them, or someone that may be able to help them better than you can.
Our next question is, how important is PME to my career advancement in the Guard?
I'll go ahead and take that one. Professional development is extremely important for airmen as they move through the tiers of their career as airmen NCOs and senior NCOs. The skills that they learn from PME allows them to become better supervisors, managers, and leaders within the Air Force and Air National Guard. To be able to lead others in the Air Force is challenging because we're not all from the same place. We all think different, so we need to be able to understand some of those softer skills, somewhere like emotional intelligence, to be able to relate with our airmen.
Also, the PME, to me, is PME is not just for the self, it's for the people that you supervise. So when you go into PME, you don't look at it, granted, yes, you're the one learning, but you're learning to take back to your subordinates and your supervisors and everybody that's around you. You're taking skills back to them. I just had a question, and not on that aspect of it, but PME, somebody was talking to me this morning about it. They're like, once again, somebody's saying, well, I don't plan on staying in Air National Guard past my 6 years or whatever. And it's like, what I've always said and what I promote people tell their people is like, people's plans change. So just because today you are sitting at 3 years and you say, I can see myself getting out of the National Guard, and at the end of my enlistment, why would I need to go to Airman Leadership School or the NCO Academy, whatever applies, but it's like, hey, tomorrow your plans may change, and develop yourself as if you're going to stay here, because even the short time that you're here, after you go to that, you can touch somebody else's life, or your plans may change, and you're just setting yourself back by not going at the appropriate times and completing it when it needs to be completed. Because if you ask any number of people in the wing, you could probably find an even number to say, hey, when I was at 4 years, I thought I'd never be here at 20 years, and plans change. So always be ready for your next experience.
I would agree. I'm currently enrolled in the Senior Enlisted Joint Professional Military Education PME 2. I'd taken the course 1 a long time ago, and now, we always keep learning, and we're developing ourselves, and also we're a good example for our junior NCOs and airmen, because we're always learning and trying to learn and thrive.
Next question, why would you recommend someone enlist in the 126 Air Refueling Wing? And for those members that do, what can they do to get more involved in the wing?
As far as why would I recommend that somebody enlist in the Air National Guard or in the 126 Air Refueling Wing, there's a lot of opportunities that you don't have access to as a younger person. I think one of the good aspects of military services, people are challenged. As Chief Mert said, we want to challenge ourselves, we want to challenge our subordinates, we want to challenge our peers. And you look at the average 20-year-old person that's working, most of them don't have the experience that some of our people working in our comm section, doing cyber security, things like that are crucial to the Air Force mission, and they're 20 years old. So they're developing skills, they're being challenged, And, there's also benefits to it, These people can work at a part-time job, go to school and get their technical or their actual degrees in whatever career field they choose, while they are building a resume that makes them stand head and shoulders above the other people. And then as you move on, that's generally what people's first reason is for coming into the National Guard, is for the educational benefits. And then as you press on throughout your career, there becomes the insurance aspect of it, the networking, all these kinds of things you can develop within your time in the National Guard. There's full-time opportunities that arise, temporary opportunities that arise for people to do. So there's just a full gamut of positive things that you can choose from just an enlistment in the Air National Guard. So that's my take on it.
For me, beyond benefits, it's part about being something bigger than just you, and to be able to, in our unique environment of the Air National Guard, we get to live in the local community and state that we support. So you are directly reflecting your state and assisting your state with that. We've done that here recently with some of the COVID operations and the civil disturbance, and that's something that not everybody gets to do, but they leaned on the Air National Guard to support that, and you get to directly affect what's going on here. Chief Stewart?
I'd agree. I guess more would be the community, and then also the Guard to me is a family. So, some people, you want to bring them into your family because some of us have been here for 30 years. So I think it's a great opportunity. Myself, I joined initially for the benefits and then never left. So, I think each person's going to see it differently, but you recommend it because it's something that we believe in. So.
Why should supervisors nominate their airmen for Airmen of the Year competitions?
I'll go ahead and take that one. Because they deserve it. They put in the hard work, they deploy, they support our state missions, they do great things, and we need to honor them by awarding them and making sure they're recognized within their squad, requisite within their group for all the great things they've done. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
To me, some of the reasons why, and the main reason is for recognition. And people will say they don't like recognition, and there are people who truly don't, strive for recognition. But when we recognize our airmen, it not only recognizes that person, but the people standing beside them and back of them, in front of them, are also feel a piece of that recognition. And it goes to show that, hey, if I do a good job this year, Airman Smith is the Outstanding Airman of the Year, and he was recognized by his unit, or the unit, and his peer that stands behind him says, yeah, they do recognize that we're doing good stuff. And I do agree that, Airman Smith should have been recognized. And it goes a long way in retention. When your people see that you are recognizing them for the hard work and that they put in, and the sacrifices that they make. This year we had a lot of sacrifices made by people deploying to the RCP as well as to the COVID response. That's a lot of sacrifice on these people's time, and the recognition is for them, but it goes not only for them, but other people in their squadron see it, as well as their family sees it. And then when their family sees that they're being recognized, it helps with, can help with the retention of possibly saying, hey, at least when my husband or my wife went out on this deployment And when they came back, they were recognized for it, and it's like, it makes them, feel better about themselves and makes them appreciate the fact that their boss understands it. And, hey, when your wife supports you or your spouse supports you, however it is, hopefully, it helps with our retention efforts in the future as well. Not only just because the people deserve it, but it's good for the wing and it's good for the person as well.
I agree. I think they greatly appreciate being recognized. Some of them, like you said, may not want to be recognized. However, they really do appreciate it, and I think we should put that time and effort into our people and make sure that they know that we really do care about them and we appreciate everything they do, because they are spending time away from their family, and that's a big deal.
Are there websites I can check out for additional opportunities within the Guard?
One of the ones that there's a lot of information on is the Profession of Arms Center for Excellence, and there's a lot of videos, and there's short snippets of videos, stuff like that you can see. There's stuff in there on various leadership traits and just questions that you can, as far as a supervisor, there's some little team building exercises that you can use in there, and questions that you can, it's like 3 questions with a new airman, and, just to make the new airman feel welcome to the unit. But there's all kinds of tools in there to help you as a supervisor and to help you as an individual to say, hey, these are some of the things that are going on in the Air Force and the Air National Guard, and I can use these small little pieces of technology that's online to help me become a better person and make me understand a little bit better. But that's one of the main ones that I use, is the Profession of Arms Center for Excellence, and it's, PACE. So if you look it up, it's out there.
Yeah. On top of that, social media, as we're using right now, is really valuable in times like this, with not everybody being together, right? But we're able to see what the latest and greatest is coming out in the Air Force, new changes with AFIs, promotions, people taking key spots within the Air Force. I find it really beneficial to, be subscribed to those social media outlets.
Yeah, and we have a top 3, that Chief Henry does, and it's a real good thing where he shares like AFI changes, any up-to-date stuff that you could get. Hey, I need to look into this, because he sends out a link. The Air National Guard Command Chief has a web page, So there's a lot of multimedia stuff out there now, these days especially. And in the virtual environment we're in, it's helped communication.
What's the latest on Air Force fitness tests? Does this apply to the Air National Guard?
Fitness testing has been pushed out to begin again 1 January 2021. I would say you need to get in touch with your UFPMs. They can give you more details on it. But I think that they're trying to work with the environment we're in right now.
They're not going away, but definitely we still need to maintain, both health, maintain our health during times like this and utilize it to maintain fit.
And one thing is my understanding of it is, just because you don't have to test doesn't mean you can't test. So if somebody wants to take a test for a specific reason, or they just feel that it's something they want to do, they can request through their commander if the ability to do it in a safe manner is out there, they can test. So, but it has to be done in a way that's safe for them and the person giving the fitness test. So don't think that you can't if it's something that you want to do. And as Chief Mertz said, it's not going away, so just because you don't have to test doesn't mean don't continue keeping up on your fitness. But for those who want to take a test, hey, talk with your boss, talk with your commander, and say, hey, I feel that I can do this, and hopefully they can find a way for the individual to do it in a safe manner. But it has to be done in a manner that they feel safe, the person doing it is safe, and that their boss feels that it can be done in a way that everybody is not going to be compromised, so.
Is it okay to not be okay? How should supervisors react to airmen seeking mental health resources?
We need to be there for our airmen. If, it's okay to take a knee every once in a while, adversity happens in life. But we need to be there for our airmen, we need to know them and get them the right help if needed. So, get to know your people and be there for them. Cheers.
I'd agree with that, definitely.
And, to follow up a little bit more, we have a lot of resources within the wing, within the Air Force, within the Air National Guard, and there's a reason that we have those resources. It's because people do have problems. So people shouldn't feel alone that they have a problem and try to shoulder the burden of their problem, and especially, a lot of people take a small problem and it becomes a big problem for them because they try to handle it all on their own when they have the resources available. And, that's what we're here for. And as Chief Stewart said earlier, we're a family in the Air National Guard, and we want the best for our airmen and their families. So we have resources not only for our airmen, but for their families. So don't hesitate to ask your first sergeant, your supervisor, anybody like that. We have resources available. And the reason we have resources available is because people have lives. And, 99% of the time our lives are going along smooth and great, but we come across hiccups, speed bumps, whatever you want to call them, and don't be afraid to talk to your boss about them, because don't turn something small into a big mountain because you feel that you need to shoulder this all on your own. Everybody's had problems, as Chief Mert said, and, probably when you talk to your first sergeant or whatever, they've probably dealt with the problem either themselves or somebody else has had a similar problem. So don't hold back. We have the resources available, and the resources are there for a reason, and that's to be used. So feel free to do it, and you'll get through whatever it is and be a stronger, better person for it.
How can wing airmen help with recruiting efforts?
I think getting involved in the local community, like we had talked about a little bit earlier, you want to bring people into your Guard family. So you're talking to people in your local community because, this is a great opportunity possibly for them, which in turn will help with recruiting and retention. I think we have a lot of experience that we can talk to them about that they may not know just, a lot about, like the Guard. And so I think being involved in your community, your high schools, and that in turn will help bring people into the Guard family.
And I agree with the chief. There's a lot of things that we can do. We're all, every one of us is a recruiter, whether we know it or not. When we're telling our stories at various places, whether it be at a local event, at your VFW, different things like that. A lot of people don't know that we're out there. So, tell your story. When you're out there telling your story, people can, find, some of your information valuable to them. One of the things that I bring up to people a lot is the insurance, because when you're 18 to 25, you probably don't really care about insurance as much because you're on your parents' insurance plan. But as people's family lives grow, you say, hey, you spent 4 years on active duty and stuff when now you can come into the Guard and get into a career field. You build off of your other experience that you already had, you build off of your time. There's insurance available. That's huge to people in today's society who have families and so forth. The ability to have health insurance and so forth, and to have a part-time job that has a retirement attached to it. So we all need to be out there telling our story, and what's valuable to me and in my generation is probably not valuable to somebody that's 18 or 19, whereas those are the college benefits. And when the younger people say, hey, I go to college for free, hey, it resonates in some people's minds, because people are out there and saying, hey, I'm going to have to drop out of school because I can't pay for school or whatever. And it's like, hey, I got a way you can pay for school. So tell your story.
Yeah, definitely sharing your experience it helps with that. When I joined for college, and never thought I would be around 20 years. Now, one of the proudest things that I have is all the countries I've been able to visit and all the deployments that I went on in my career. But it shifted right after the first term about patriotism too, and wanting to serve. There's not a better feeling that I have than when I can serve my country.
Can you recommend a good book, video, or podcast?
I got a couple. I'm currently, just finished Dare to Lead, which is by Brene Brown. It is a book on leadership about brave leaders and courageous cultures. I also, on a personal note, finished Where the Crawdads Sing by Dalai Owens, which was recommended previously to me by retired Lieutenant Colonel Fogarty. So those are two I just finished that were really good recommendations.
I just finished How to Make Friends and Influence Others by Dale Carnegie. It's a book that I pick up probably about once a year and just go through. Actually, I do audibles. I prefer that more. And then I listen to podcasts every day. It's the Bobby Bones Show, and I've also read the book Fight, Grind, Repeat. That radio host, Bobby Bones, has that self-help book, really, and it sends a nice message of that Fight, Grind, Repeat.
One of the podcasts, I listen with my son on occasion when I ride in the car with him, and his big thing, and I found it interesting, was things you should know. And the one time I was riding with him, and they went over all the unique facts of like Air Force One, and it's just like very different things, and there's a lot of different like totally off the wall things that you can find out. It's just like wild facts, and it's like when you sit there listening to it, it's like, wow, I didn't know that. So it's just kind of crazy fun things that don't really matter to anybody else about the length of Air Force One and all this, but it's just like crazy when you start listening to it. So it's just a fun thing.
Great. Well, this will conclude today's questions in Town Hall. Thank you, Chief Master Sergeant Michael Douglas, Chief Master Sergeant Christopher Mertz, and Chief Master Sergeant Amanda Stewart. Once again, I'm Technical Sergeant Casey Buckingham from the 126 Supply Chain Management Squadron, and we thank you for watching.